Tyler Reddick is reportedly going to be released early from his contract. Lee Spencer of Racing Boys was the first to report on Tuesday, October 11th, that Tyler Reddick will be released 1 year early from his contract at Richard Childress Racing, and that, in fact, 2311 Racing has bought out his contract. An official announcement is expected at the racetrack this Saturday in Las Vegas. And, Jerry, I'm going to toss this to you. I can't help but think Las Vegas, announcement there, and it could be a coincidence just because it is the next race on the schedule, but the announcement coming there, Kurt Busch's hometown, is there some sort of correlation here, or am I reading way too into it?
Can I do this and cover up my face so you can't see how I look?
There you go.
Okay, so yes, there's an announcement on Saturday. No, I can't tell you what it is, but I don't think Lee is far off of her article. I don't know about Tyler Reddick. Okay, I don't know if the contract's been bought out or all that. Wouldn't surprise me. I think I asked that question a couple of weeks ago. I do know a little bit more about Kurt Busch and the situation, and there will be some sort of announcement this weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and it will be Saturday. It'll be Saturday. That's all I know specifically that I can say. Is that there will be a press conference involving Kurt on Saturday, and Toyota. So I hope that Kurt is coming back, or will drive a fourth car next year, or his car next year. But I have serious doubts. I don't know yet.
So here's what I wonder, as far as the Tyler Reddick thing goes and all this, Jerry. I mean, we heard from Richard Childress say that the plan for Tyler Reddick to be in a third entry, that they were going to find another charter, and that they were going to get sponsors and all this and make it work for one more year. But then now, I mean, was he bluffing? Are they still going to run a third car potentially? I mean, what the hell is going on at RCR?
Oh, poker. He's playing poker. I mean, Richard Childress goes way back. Come on, he knows how to play this game, and he wants money for his driver. He's look, when Tyler Reddick decided that he was going to go to 2311, it did not make Richard Childress happy. Richard only wanted to give him a 1-year contract. Tyler wanted something longer. Okay, Tyler's too much of a good get for another team not to have him signed to long term, and Richard didn't want to do that. So
what was Richard's hesitancy not giving that long-term deal, you think?
He's, a lot of his deals are 1 year. I mean, it's just, that's the way he does it, other than Austin. But, I mean, that's the way, it's a business thing. You don't want to, I mean, who's to say that he doesn't have someone else come along later on that's even better? Okay, I mean, he got Kyle Busch. He had to pony up multi-year for that.
Right.
Okay. So who would you take? Tyler Reddick or Kyle Busch? There's
right
some
now,
old.
We were having this discussion a couple of weeks ago. Knowing what I know as far as building for the future, personally, I'd rather have Tyler Reddick than Kyle Busch right now.
I don't know. If you're trying to rebuild a program, do you want a young guy, or do you want some guy who can come in and say, you've got a problem with your car here? By the way, it drives like a bulldozer, and I think you need to do this. Or do you need a guy who's young and says, look, I'll just drive it. I'll figure it out. We'll work through it. I think Tyler Reddick's that kind of guy. I think Kyle Busch is the guy. He's going to complain. He's going to gripe more next year than I think he probably has griped in the past 5 years. But he's going to go over there and he's going to make that program better. I truly believe that he's a driver like that can do it. He's one of the best in the garage, and I would stack him up against Tyler Reddick. I like Tyler; he's a great guy, but I would bet on Kyle Busch 9 times out of 10 over Tyler Reddick in any race anywhere.
So, with that said, what if you had to put a number on it? What are the percentage chances that there is still going to be a third RCR car? I had to ask, but yes.
Look, I said that I talked to Kurt. I texted with Kurt earlier today, and he just said, "I'll see you Saturday." He knows. I mean, I've confirmed that, we're having a press conference. Anything else that I might have picked up, I can't say. Lee wouldn't have put that story out there if she wasn't pretty solid with her information. And I know from making other phone calls today that Toyota has a part in this press conference. So you start adding up 2 and 2, putting things together. And I'd heard earlier in the week, actually, that Toyota was working on a press conference. So they're not just going to do one press conference for Kurt leaving. Because remember, there's also some issues here. Kurt was injured. Okay. He is not retiring. He was actually injured. He lost his, he's not going to drive. If this is the announcement, he won't be driving because he chose to retire. He will be driving because he was forced to make a decision based on a medical issue. David could probably address this a little bit more, because I'm sure that, David probably has insurance just like other drivers do in the garage. And that there may be something there that you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to retire." You were sidelined because you can't race because you're injured.
Absolutely. Once you retire your racing medical insurance, I mean, it's voided. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how this press conference. Obviously, Jerry, you're good friends with Kurt. I've been great friends with him for a long time. Man, he's so competitive this year, winning races. And I really was wanting to see him have a shot at another championship. I just felt like that their performance and the way Kurt was driving and just their team, it's like, man, anything's possible to make the chase, and obviously was going to be in the chase. So, he's just so good. Still good. He's been good for a long time. He's a hell of a race car driver, and I wanted to see him retire on his terms when he was ready to retire. Whatever's going on with him, his injuries, I'm hope, he probably has the right doctors to get him back 100% like he was. But, knowing and seeing other drivers that have been through that takes time, you know what I mean? So, I think right now, just to have a great quality of life the rest of your life, you just don't know all the details of it. I'd love to see him be able to drive a race car next year, come back, win races, and give himself another opportunity. But we don't know the extent of and how bad and all the things going on medically with Kurt. We see him here and there, and so I just hope the best for him. He's a great friend of yours, Jerry. We've always been great friends, and man, I hate to see what he's going through. I would hate to see him have to step out of the race car, maybe retire because of his injuries. Nobody wants to have to end their great career that way. We'd rather all end it how we want to end it, not because we have to. But going to be interesting to hear the press conference and everything going on this weekend.
I will say this, because I've had multiple text messages, conversations with Kurt through, during this time. He did not tell me what the announcement was.
Right.
And I won't speculate.
No.
Because I've never, I will say that I know there's a press conference. I know that it's, Kurt's going to be involved and Toyota's going to be involved. But what I can tell you is that Kurt has stayed true. And I've said this in the past, ever since this injury happened, he said, "I will race again." That's what I will say. He told me that. And he said, "I will race again." I hope the announcement on Saturday is Kurt's going to come back and run Phoenix or Homestead or Martinsville or whatever. But it may be that, he's going to continue to heal and get better and race next year. But that's the only thing that I can tell you definitively is Kurt has told me that he will race again.
Well, and Tyler, I think I got to bring you into this too. I remember you told me a couple of years ago, you had a conversation with him speaking about how Jerry's saying how Kurt is true to his word. He told you in the midst of everybody saying, oh, Kurt's going to retire at the end of 2021, when that was a big topic of debate. He told you, Tyler, that he was wanting to race the next gen car and he was planning on it, and he has.
Yeah, I remember specifically talking to Kurt about that. Asking about his intentions for his future plans, and he was excited about the next gen. He was one of the first drivers to test the next gen car, and I don't think that Kurt is done racing. I think if we're going to, and I'm not going to put Jerry in this position to do this, I'll put Dominic in it though. If we're going to speculate, if you want to call it that, or kind of connect the dots here, it sounds like what we're looking at here, Dom, is Tyler Reddick with Bubba Wallace at 2311 next year. Kurt Busch, we don't know, racing sometime in some capacity somewhere, I don't know. And Kyle, in the 8 car, and no third team at RCR. Am I missing anything there, Dom? I mean, I think that's what we're looking at.
I think where my mind goes on all this too with Kurt Busch, and maybe you thought this too, Tyler, maybe you thought this, David, won't put Jerry on the spot, but maybe a third part-time kind of deal if the sponsorship is there. We know Monster loves Kurt. We know that he does have funding. What about like a hand-picked kind of schedule, like a Mark Martin kind of year in 2023? I could see that on the table. We know Kurt isn't done and he wants to come back. If it's not a part-time deal for the rest of the year, or 1 or 2 races, and he's coming back in 23, who's not to say it's a part-time thing with 2311 Racing?
I think it's all speculation, but I think that 2311, Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan will have Kurt Busch a race car ready to go when he gives his team and he's medically released and NASCAR gives him the thumbs up. When he's ready to go, he'll have a car that's capable of winning races again. And I think that's probably what we're going to hear, that when he's ready and he thinks he's ready and he's cleared medically and NASCAR clears him, and that he will be back cup racing with 2311. And that's kind of the way I see it playing out, but man, I hope so. I hope the best for Kurt. He's such a great guy, a great competitor. He's just been so great for the sport, and you love him or hate him, he's a good dude, man.